The GacoProFill system is the first complete spray foam system to offer a consistent cavity fill, a smooth surface with no trimming needed, and it installs in a fraction of the time needed for other open-cell spray foam products. The GacoProFill system is comprised of a tough, true polyurethane-based spray foam that is quickly and easily installed behind a membrane. This system provides all the benefits of other open-cell products at a much lower installed cost. And best of all, GacoProFill is the best choice for both new construction and retrofit applications. You install GacoProFill open cell foam using the same equipment you use for Gaco's other open cell and closed cell foam. You'll just need to attach a pore tip to your gun. We recommend the Graco Fusion Air Purge Pore Adapter Kit. Pore kits are also available for the P2 and the PMC guns. Tips and kits are available from your regular parts supplier. You'll need to choose the correct GacoProFill system membrane to meet code requirements for the climate zone and construction type where the foam is being installed. To attach the membrane, you'll need a speed stapler with 1/2 inch by 1/2 inch staples and a wide crown stapler with 1 inch by 1 1/4 inch staples. Before installing the membrane, go around and check for cracks and gaps that would allow the foam to seep through onto unprotected areas. Seal all joints, penetrations, window rough openings, electrical boxes, and plumbing. Make sure the exterior sheathing is sealed at all butt joints and against the bottom and top plate so foam does not get outside the house behind the siding. If gaps are present, seal them with appropriate caulk, canned foam, or tape. Cut membrane to the appropriate size, such as the length of the wall, taking care to not cut it too short. Roll it out on the floor and make sure the piece is long enough to avoid seams whenever possible. Save any extra membrane you cut off for possible use later in smaller areas such as closets. Use care to not tear the membrane during cutting or installation. Note the web membrane is not as durable as the reinforced poly membrane and tears easier. During installation, be careful to avoid wiring when stapling membrane, including horizontal wiring. Mark the position of wires on the surface of the membrane prior to face stapling. If there is any piping that protrudes out of the wall, cut a small X-shaped hole in the membrane and push the pipe through. No additional stapling is needed. Note, on walls that are taller than 10 feet, overlap top half of membrane over bottom half of membrane by at least 3 inches to prevent foam from running between overlapping layers. To begin installation, stretch the membrane down over the cavity, making sure to pull any wires out through it, and staple it in place as follows using a speed stapler. Face staple the membrane using the speed stapler starting at the top left corner of the stud face, and to hold it in place, face staple the right top corner of the stud face. Then, face staple across the top of the stud face. Pull the membrane tight down the middle of the wall to the bottom and face staple the bottom plate. Then, face staple from top to bottom in the middle. Pull membrane tight in bottom left corner and face staple the stud face in the corner. Then, pull membrane tight in bottom right-hand corner and face staple the stud face in that corner. Face staple bottom plate from middle to left corner and from middle to right corner. Pull membrane tight on right side and face staple to the stud face in the middle. While continuing to pull the membrane tight, face staple the stud face from the middle up to the top and then middle down to the bottom. Repeat this on the left side. Press membrane in over the windows and face staple the stud face around the windows, and face staple membrane on stud face right next to electrical outlets. Note that all narrow bays must be double face stapled to eliminate the need for inset stapling. Please note that there is an adjustment on the speed stapler to increase or decrease the speed as needed. To complete the installation, use a wide crown stapler to inset staple, sometimes called lip staple, the membrane to ensure tightness on both sides and the top and bottom of each bay. Stapler should be held horizontal to exterior stud at a 45-degree angle so that the head of the staple will be parallel with stud when inserted. All staples should be about 1 inch apart and no more than 2 inches apart. First, inset staple 1/2 inch in from the stud across the bottom of every cavity and then across the top of every cavity. Start from the bottom left side of membrane and inset staple 1/2 inch in from the right side of the stud, working from bottom to top. Move to your right to the next stud and inset staple 1/2 inch in from right side of stud, working from bottom to top again. Continue the process until you get to the right side of the membrane. Turn the stapler over and now inset staple 1/2 inch in from left side of stud, working from bottom to top. Move to your left this time and again inset staple 1/2 inch in from left side of stud, working from bottom to top. Continue the process until you get to the left side of the membrane. Check to make sure that electrical wires have been pulled through membrane before beginning installation of foam. Now, we're ready to install the foam. For the first injection within each cavity, insert tip inside membrane approximately 2 feet up from the bottom, but do not inject above an electrical box if one is present. Aim the tip downward towards the back side of the cavity and turn it left and right so it goes across the back side of the cavity. The foam will expand outward and upward within the cavity. Use your hand to help guide the foam up the cavity and push the membrane in to keep it from over bulging. Watch for swelling and drawback of foam. If there is no drawback after 2 minutes, dial up the spray temps 5 degrees Fahrenheit. If the foam does not draw back into the wall cavity or it is not even with studs, push in the foam with the palm of your hand while it is still warm. If there are any unavoidable seams or tears within the membrane, be sure to hold them together by hand when installing foam and guide the foam over the seam or torn area. Once the foam has completely expanded, you can use this footage to gauge how much you should install in the next cavity. Work your way across the wall to allow the foam to rise before injecting more at a higher point within the cavity. Once you are back at your starting point, it's time to fill the rest of each cavity. Insert the tip about 1 foot above the installed foam to inject the next lift. Continue this process, working your way across the wall until all cavities are completely full. After the wall is completely filled, look it over to see if there are any low spots or voids and fix by injecting foam. Start at one end of the house and work your way around, completing each area before moving to the next area. If there is a closed-off void in the framing, drill small holes in the void. Attach tubing to pour cap on the gun and inject foam into the void. Our recommended best practice for filling 2x4 and 2x6 stud cavities is with an AR 4242 mixing chamber at 1000 psi line pressure, you can fill a 2x4 16-inch on-center cavity with foam at a rate of 1 second trigger pull per foot of rise in the foam. With an AR 5252 mixing chamber at 1200 psi line pressure, you can fill a 2x6 16-inch on-center cavity with foam at the rate of 1 second trigger pull per foot of rise in the foam. When all cavities have been filled, look for and fix any low spots or voids, which can be easily seen through the membrane. Look for any areas where the foam came over the stud face and cut out with a knife. Cut around all outlets and push the foam back to prepare for drywall. Cut out all membrane around the windows and doors. Sweep up the job site and touch up around all doors and windows. That's it. You've completed the project and are ready to move on to the next one in a fraction of the time needed for other spray foam products.